Hi, I'm Jessica Salaji, publisher of TheGeorgiaVirtue.com. We're so excited to offer a compilation of videos this election season. The TGV Candidate Spotlight Series is an independent video feature produced with one goal in mind: providing voters with as much information as possible before they head to the polls. There's no agenda, we don't make endorsements, and we aren't beholden to any giant media corporation. The series is produced thanks to our advertisers and the generous donations made to the TGV Sunlight Fund and communities we cover. We extended an offer to all of the candidates seeking office this year, and to ensure the integrity of the questions and in fairness to all the opponents, every interview was recorded prior to the release of the videos in that race. For that reason, candidates who did not agree to an interview prior to the air date for their race will not be featured in this series. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget, you can find more content on this election cycle and much, much more on TheGeorgiaVirtue.com. So why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about yourself?
My name is Brannen. I'm a lifelong resident of Bulloch County, 5th generation farmer. Have 5 kids, 1 grandkid. My wife is Jamie. We live in the Portal area of Bulloch County in the north end. I've lived there my whole entire life. I've been involved in agriculture my whole life, member of Statesboro First Baptist, safety team. Just always loved Bulloch County. My family's always been here. My family's deep rooted. We just really, we're really a part of Bulloch County, and we love living here. I don't know a whole lot other than agriculture. I've been involved in it my whole life. Agriculture's tough and a tough way to make a living nowadays, but it is a good way, and we've enjoyed it very much, and it's been good to us.
You're running as a Republican in this election, but local government isn't always a partisan issue. So why don't you talk about your approach to local government and how you plan to represent all of your constituents?
Well, party lines are a big issue nowadays for some reason. I like to think a little more along the line of policy instead of party line. There are candidates that have great ideas and it could be really good at a job, but they may not necessarily represent the party that you represent. A lot of policies going on in the county now, are affecting our people greatly. Taxes is one, and that's a big deal to a lot of residents, especially elder residents that living on fixed income and they can't afford to keep paying higher taxes. I really think that reaching across the party lines and us trying to work together for the betterment of our community is really important. I don't see it as a party thing. It's for the people and for the citizens of the county, and not for a particular party or a reason or ideal that somebody's trying to hold on to. I think that should be a thing of the past. That just you got to declare some type of party to run in an election, most elections, but we're here for the people, and that's what I want to be for the people, and to be able to, the citizens, to actually come together in local politics. Let's take care of our county and our people, and then we'll worry about everybody else after the fact.
You mentioned taxes, but what do you feel like are the 3 most pressing issues in Bulloch County right now, or facing the county?
Taxes is a main concern right now. Like I mentioned a while ago, the elderly people, it's hard for them to live, with inflation like it is, and grocery prices and stuff like that, much less a property tax. A lot of people don't realize that property tax is the only really fluid money that the county has, to move to cover any kind of deficit. I've touched on that before, and we can't just keep going to the property owners to ask for more money every time that there's any kind of deficit, or we have a rainy day fund, but that's exactly what that's for, is a rainy day. We just went through 2 major hurricane rain events. We had to spend that money, the county did, to try to get everybody to take care of and clean up. We'll get reimbursed for a lot of that, but that money was there, and I commend, the commissioners now for doing that and having it available. but we can't keep raising taxes, and that leads to more and more valuation levels being raised, and it hurts even more because the taxes are figured off the valuations of all the property. I think that we need to look into some, generational stuff. We have people that want to stay here in Bulloch County that don't want to sell their land and that wants to be able to live in the county and pass their property on to their children and have a legacy after the fact, not be able to, work for it your whole life to pay for it, and at the end you got to sell it due to somebody, offering, way more than it's really worth just because they can build houses on it for a profit. We really have to look into stuff like that, and I hope that, we can get in there and try to come up with some solutions for that for people that want to stay in the county and not sell their property after the fact for taxes. Another is our development. We have a problem with development. We have a plan set in place. There's a lot of development that's being allowed to happen out into the county. Subdivisions in places that's in the yellow and the red zone. We have planning and zoning that they recommend for them not to allow those zoning ordinances to go through, but the county commissioners turn around and overturn them. We have our farmland that's being taken up by developers at an alarming rate. Impact fees are a big deal now. I really think that we need to learn and implement those and take some off of the back of the property taxpayers. We don't have a very high a permit fee here in the county. I've had other developers in other areas tell me that they have permit fees at upwards of $17,000 to $19,000 per house. I mean, that's a lot when it comes to, especially when the county, it's going to cost the county in the long run to take care of these developments and the infrastructure and services and all that goes with these people moving in, which, growth is going to happen and growth is inevitable, but we also got to have it responsibly and make sure that we're ahead of the curve and not behind it like we are now. I guess my third, I'll add to that, the farmland, that, it's a precious commodity, and when it's gone, it's gone. It'd be hard to go bulldoze a subdivision so we can eat one day, and I hope that we can, come up with a amicable solution for everybody that we can kind of look into that and preserve farmland, because Bulloch County was built on agriculture, and Bulloch County has turned its back on agriculture in so many ways, and it's very alarming and disheartening. Transparency. I know that's a big deal. We've all seen the county commissioner meetings where everybody's got up and fussed and raised Cain, and that's part of it. But I think the reason that we've gotten to that point and it happened like that is because a lot of our county is waking up to a lot of the decisions that's being made that is not good for the people of our county, of Bulloch County itself. We've started more and more, looking after special interests and businesses coming in is good, but we also got to look out for the people that's going to be here and live here and what it's going to cost them to live here and be here. There's going to come a point in time to where, the cost of living here is going to outrun the wage gap. And, they keep saying there's a lot of, big wages out there, but it's not for what it's costing us to live here. And families can't buy houses, families can't keep their houses and stay in them. But the transparency of that is, we need to be having those conversations up front and often and in public. These conversations don't need to happen behind closed doors and out, with other people that's not involved in the county. I know it costs the county money to put forth referendums and votes and put stuff on ballots, but we as citizens, on a big ticket item like that, we should have the right to vote on a lot of this stuff. It shouldn't just be decided, by one or two people that's talking about it in the back room, and they come out and everybody just votes on it. We need to have that in the people's hands. And with this well referendum, that's another thing I like to, that's a big deal right now. We've been lied to by the EPD. We've been lied to by our local officials. We've proven that, and we have a referendum out there to change that. And it's going to happen one way or the other, but it's going to be put back into people's hands for the people to decide whether they want this detrimental travesty that's coming, and it could very well come and affect everybody in this whole entire county and surrounding counties. We want to put it back in the people's hands, and that's part of transparency. As long as the people are involved and we can be transparent to what the law allows, I know there's certain stipulations that you can't talk about stuff, but whatever's allowable by law, the people need to know what's going on if they want to know.
Okay, so you talked at the beginning about the plan and having a plan, and one of the big issues between, it seems like, the citizens and developers and commissioners is the lack of, I guess, uniform ideas about what the plan should be, or if the plan should be followed, and when you should get variances. And I think one of the issues is always, how do you balance property rights and telling people what they can do with their land with controlled growth and the county comprehensive plan? So how would you look at that? How do you balance that? Because obviously you're an advocate for private property rights, but you also want to try to slow the train of growth.
Right. Well, obviously I don't want to tell anybody what they can or can't do with their land. That's American right, and you should be able to do that. We have a planning and zoning, board for a reason, and they're, if they weren't put together for that reason, I don't know, I know several of those guys on that, and they do a really good job of going out and inspecting this property and looking at it, and they know what's going on, ahead of time, and they see a lot of stuff that a normal citizen don't see. That's the whole point in them meeting and looking and having the recommendations to give to the Board of Commissioners. We've seen it several times, and I would say more than needed to turn over their decision of not recommending, the zoning go through just to have it turned over. So, what would be the point? I know those guys get disheartened sometimes when they do all that work and push it through to try to get it, make a comprehensive plan, to present, and then just get it kind of turned over. But we have all those laws and regulations in place in the county for a reason, and the plan that our commissioners have set forth, if you're going to make a plan, stick to it. I know there's always going to be extenuating circumstances, don't get me wrong. And, we really need to start in the middle and build out. I think growth needs to start around the cities. And, there's a lot of properties, around Statesboro that could really use, revamping in the homes that we could use and need for inner city stuff. And then, we shouldn't be going around in other unincorporated areas of the county just because somebody wants profit to build a subdivision, putting a subdivision out here. And, that strains county services. That takes the EMS, even longer to get to you when you need them, the fire, the sheriff's department. And it puts strains on our county services, which in turn costs the county more money. Just because we go out here and make a whirlwind profit off of a subdivision, don't mean that the county's not going to have to, recoup that money over a certain period of time or spend it. There's a lot of these subdivisions people don't realize, the county has a program that they put them in, and it tells how much it's going to cost the county over, 7 to 10 years. Well, there's a lot of these subdivisions that are in the negative, but they get approved anyway. So when they go out there and they approve these subdivisions and it costs the county, $30, $40, $50 to $300,000 or $400,000 over the next few years, and then we've already seen instances of roads and subdivisions that's been turned over to the counties. About the time that they get turned over, we have to go out there and repave subdivision roads, private roads. There's a lot of roads in the county that needs paving and taking care of, but we out here taking care of subdivision roads, which, that's part of it. We agree to do that, but still, I think that we need to start holding some of these developers, accountable to stuff like that, and not the county and taxpayers themselves. There's just a lot of little stuff that's going on that I think could be, addressed and changed that will probably alleviate a lot of the property tax and the taxes that's going on in the county. It's one of those things we're going to have to address, hopefully, in January.
Based on the tax rate that we have right now, do you think that people are getting a good return on their investment for their rate, the amount that they're paying, or do you think that they could be paying, or they could be receiving more services, or are they overpaying? What is your position on that?
Well, not to, I guess, skate around that question to a degree, but, you know, you're not going to please everybody. And let me go ahead and say that forth. I know if, let me give my little disclaimer that I always give before I give this answer. I'm not a politician. What comes out of my mouth, it's not going to sound like a politician. I probably sound like a big bowl of cornbread right now, but it's okay. Everything is strained. People already know they're strained, their pocketbook's strained. The county, nobody that hadn't had a budget issue to a degree. Taxes, my issue with the taxes is we can't keep going to the property owners to keep covering all these expenses. Well, we've gotten to a point now where, I think we're okay, hopefully, with the money, and the valuations have been one of our biggest Achilles heels because, when the valuations go up, you don't have to raise the millage rate, but the taxes go up. And I think that's where a lot of our problem is now. But the services in the county, we've got some of the best county workers in the world. We've got some of the best, sheriff, fire, EMS, county services, road crews. They're just like everybody else. They're hunting help. They're trying to do more with less. They felt the same strain that normal people have to. But I think we need to look into more along the lines of maybe a sales tax. Maybe raising a penny on the sales tax. And I know I'm not for any new taxes at all to a degree, but everybody knows that stuff's costing more, and if we're going to have more, we've got to pay for it. But that puts more of a burden on everybody that comes in and out of the county, whether they live here or they don't, whether they use our services or whether they don't. There's a lot of shopping that goes on out of county, and a lot of people come out of another county to work here. But that would take some, I would say a good bit of the burden off of the property tax is for us to be able to, I would rather everybody sharing that burden than just the Bulloch County people. And I think that would alleviate a lot of our problem, with the services part, if we have a strain on the actual, money part of it. I think it's something we really need to look into.
In this time in our county and our country, why do you want this job?
Oh man, loaded question. I just think it's time for change. I think 20 plus years in office. None of us, and I'm gonna speak out of turn a little bit, but none of us that's run in this election against other incumbents. This has never been about the person. It's never been about any person. I think they're all great people. I just think that we need some new leadership. I think it's time to turn it over and give it to somebody else to try and do something with some new ideas and try to see if we can, do something different in the county. I feel like term limits strongly feel term limits are a great thing in any election, in any capacity whatsoever. If you're not a hired employee or a hired person by the county, city, state, federal, I think that everybody shouldn't have a career in politics. Now, there's people out there that, have probably got a little more sense than I do that don't stick themselves out and run for a public office. And I commend them too. But there, people that are willing to step up, like I say, a big thing is policy over politics. It don't matter what, I don't care what affiliation you are. Race, creed, religion, it don't matter. It's about the county and the citizens and whoever's going to do the best job to take this county forward and alleviate any problems that we do have, hopefully.
Is there anything else you would like voters to know about you before Election Day?
I'm just a regular old guy. I'm nothing special. I'm not anything, I'm not a saving grace by any stretch of the imagination, but, I will fight for you. I'll fight for everybody in the county. I don't care what you look like, what you got, how much money you have, how much money you don't have. We have rules and regulations and laws in place, and we hope we're going to enforce those. and we hope to try to take the county forward and keep it a great place to live. We all know we have problems. We all know we're in a financial strain, you know, in the real world. We're definitely not oblivious to the fact that we're the same. We're in the same boat you are. We're fighting the same financial burdens and the same, you know, real life, real world problems that you know, there's some people that don't have those sometimes, but, you know, we do. And that's what we're here for, is to try and help, you know, the county and the citizens to get through that with county business, hopefully. And, you know, us as a citizen, just like you, we want to fight for you and with you. So we just really would appreciate your vote on November the 5th, and early vote started October the 15th. And we'll see you at the polls. Thank you.